Bring back rock.
Hey, it's Dean and welcome to Bring Back Rock. It's Christmas time. So what better time than now to talk about a band who took their name from a slang term for Jesus Christ. The singer was one of the greatest frontmen in rock history. If you don't believe me, check out his Live at the Whiskey release. It also named one of rock's most innovative guitarists. Find out how they came together and how it all went off the rails once they hit the studio. The singer is Michael Monroe, who just oozes rock from every pore. The guitarist is Steve Stevens, and the band was Jerusalem Slim. Jerusalem Slim consisted of the band members Michael Monroe on vocals, Steve Stevens on guitar, Sam Yaffa on bass, and Greg Ellis, former Shark Island drummer, on drums. Michael Monroe had a deal already in place with Polygram, and after his solo album, Not Faking It, he was approached by Steve Stevens, Billy Idol's guitarist, who loved Not Faking It and especially the song All Night with the Lights On, and would have loved to have played that solo. The two decided to work together and started writing and demoing for about a year. When it came time to record, Michael Monroe wanted Little Steven of E Street Band fame to produce. Steve Stevens didn't necessarily agree, and neither did the record company, who pushed producer and mixer Michael Wagner to work with them. He had recently worked with Great White, Accept, Keel, Dokken, Alice Cooper, and more, and had just come off mixing Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears. Michael Monroe does not have any problems with Michael Wagner as a producer, just didn't feel he was right for this project. And while admitting Steve Stevens is an amazing guitar player capable of playing that Chuck Berry style, putting the two of them together in the studio on this project, in his opinion, was a disaster. A few weeks scheduled for guitar playing in the studio turned into 3 months, with Michael Wagner encouraging Steve Stevens to do more shredding, tapping, and soloing throughout the songs, and Steve Stevens obliging. Michael Monroe was hating the direction the project was taking so much he tried to put a stop to it. Eventually, when hearing the mix, Steve Stevens agreed with Michael Monroe. He came to him and asked for help, and Michael convinced him the only way to save the project was to go to New York and start from scratch, staying closer to the more stripped-down, raw feel of the demos. Once in New York City, Michael Monroe hit the studio with Bob Rosa and remixed the song Rock and Roll Degeneration, getting it sounding better, but Steve Stevens was missing in action. Michael wasn't sure where Steve Stevens was until he was watching the MTV Video Music Awards and saw Vince Neil, the man responsible for driving the car that killed Razzle, Michael's drummer in Hanoi Rocks, leading to the demise of that hugely influential band. And who was with Vince Neil? None other than Steve Stevens, who was the new guitarist for Vince Neil's solo band. Michael Monroe tried to bury the Jerusalem Slim project, but Polygram felt they had a finished album with a Michael Wagner mix. They spent $700,000 on the project and opted to release it. Michael did, however, get a couple of songs off the album that he wanted to save for future projects, including The Scum Lives On, which ended up on his next project, Demolition 23. So, the album is out, Steve Stevens is out, and the band plays a few gigs without him, refusing to play any of the material off the album. Michael Monroe calls this the worst time of his life. He was about $1 million in debt to Polygram, and it took about a year in limbo for him to get out of his Polygram contract. Once he was out, he contacted Little Steven to get to work on his next project, to do it the way he wanted. That next album was the awesome Demolition 23 disc, which has just been re-released, but that's a story for another time. Since Jerusalem Slim, Steve Stevens has played with Vince Neil and a variety of other performers, as well as releasing solo albums and still releasing music with Billy Idol. Sam Yaffa, who was in Hanoi Rocks and Jet Boy, well, he's played with Joan Jett, the New York Dolls, Johnny Thunders, and is currently in Michael Monroe's solo band. Michael Monroe was in the aforementioned Demolition 23 and has been releasing solo albums ever since. Alright, it's music time. We'll let you listen to some samples, see what the super duo came up with for yourself, and I'll catch up with you at the end of the video.
Rock and roll is bad for the body, bad for the soul, bad for the heart, bad for this week, no more rock and roll will be played on the air. 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 Played on.
All right, so that was Jerusalem Slim. Full disclosure, I couldn't find Steve Stevens talking about the band at all. I found Michael Monroe talking about it in a couple separate interviews, and the story was very consistent. So that's just his side of the story. So where can you find them? They're not on your streaming services. Somebody has uploaded it to YouTube as of now, so you can check it out there. And no re-releases that I found, so you have to get it in the secondary market, but it's not that expensive. You can get it for about 30 bucks or so as of the making of this video. Just want to say thank you to anybody who spent any time watching the video, anybody who subscribed. I really appreciate it. Want to give me a Christmas present? Just hit that subscribe button wherever it is. And we'll catch you on the next video. All right, Merry Christmas, everyone.